Welcome to 8th grade core with Mrs. Coppa. I graduated from Sac State with a bachelor's in family psychology and then went to Fresno State to get my multiple subject and English teaching credential. This is my 3rd year at Olympus, my 6th year in the district, and my 9th year overall in K-8 education. I am married to Mr. Coppa, who's a PE teacher here. Pardon me. And we have a 16-month-old toddler named Austin. A little introduction to core is that core encompasses 2 periods, one of English and one of history. And our overall goal for the 2 courses is to get your student to become a better reader, writer, and thinker. And so this is a year-long process of building and scaffolding knowledge, acquiring new skills, honing current skills, and preparing for high school and beyond. What I really want to focus on with students this year is that the educational goal is truly to focus on skills and learning and not to focus on individual points and grades. A lot of times students chase the grades, they chase the points, but they miss out on the learning opportunities and the opportunity for self-reflection and for growth. And so instead of focusing on why did I get a B plus instead of an A minus, my goal really is to focus on skill acquisition and trying to refine and expand upon the skills and foundations that they already have. One of the most important components of our core class will be completing the assigned journals. And so I will assign 10 journals throughout the year. 1 journal is equivalent to 5 paragraph entries, with 4 being either a response to literature, a persuasive narrative, or expository text. And then 1 of them being a reflective paragraph in which they tell me about what's going on in their life. It's our way to connect, especially considering that with distance learning, it is so hard to build connections. So this is really a way for students to tell me if they're struggling or if they're succeeding, just a way to build that connection and to communicate frequently. Students will have individual dates assigned to them. And so we'll go on a 3-week rotation. Students will, so for example, let's say Johnny is assigned week 1, Tuesday. He will always have his journal due on Tuesday during week 1 of whatever cycle we're in. This is just to help me be able to organize and provide relatively quick feedback. My goal for the year would be to get the journals graded and to get that feedback sent to your student within 48 hours. I will try really hard to make that happen throughout the year. There could be circumstances that pop up that elongate that process a little bit, but I will try to be as communicative as possible if those circumstances do arise. Something that's super important is that late journals are never accepted. They will always be required. So if your student decides that they are not going to submit their journal in on time, it's not that they get a free pass from that. They are still required to turn it in, but they will not receive points. And the department chair and I are both really firm in our belief in this and that it will help instill some responsibility and accountability. Students will have every Wednesday to work on their journals, and there will be class time sprinkled throughout the rest of the days to help them navigate their journal time. They'll also have 3 weeks to work on each journal. So it really shouldn't be a huge rush at the end of when they're nearing their due date. There is ample time built in, but it will require some homework time to be set aside to complete these journals. Again, I will not accept any late journals. there really aren't any exceptions. And it's because it becomes way too difficult for me to manage late journals, and I can't keep up with the feedback process if I do allow those journals to come in late. So this is really the only area where I won't be flexible with accepting late work. And again, it's just a logistics issue. We will have other writing assignments. So we'll have essays in which we compare literature, do character analysis, research projects. We will also have 2-point assessments, and these are just timed paragraph writing assignments. So I'll give them 15 minutes of class time, and I'll say, please write a paragraph in which you analyze the importance of Ender's development as a character throughout the story, Ender's Game. And they'll have 15 minutes to try to write up a paragraph that is concise and answers the question that I provide. They will either get 1 point, which means they did not meet the requirements, or they will get 2 points, which means that they have passed. So it's a pass-fail situation. And it might not seem like a ton of points because it's just 1 or 2 points, but it is going under a weighted category, so it'll end up being worth more than it seems. This is just to get students to get used to writing on demand and to use their critical thinking skills in a place where they don't have 4 days to think about it. So it'll be a bit challenging at first, but we will walk through it and work through it together. And it's been really successful in the past. So I will make sure to provide tons of feedback for kids who might feel like it's a difficult task, and we'll work through that productive struggle together. For reading, we will be reading novels, short stories, poems, and nonfiction text. We'll also read our history textbook, primary source documents, and we'll do some close reading, which involves reading, questioning, annotating, and responding. Our first novel will be Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and the focus will be on plot structure, symbolism, comparative writing to other short stories by Ray Bradbury. And we'll actually be starting that here in a couple of weeks. We'll read Ender's Game, which is by Orson Scott Card. And here we'll really focus on the hero's journey and characterization and short story comparison. This is a really popular book in middle school, and there's also a movie, so kids might be familiar with it. But when I've done it in the past, they've really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to teaching this again this year. We'll also read The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare, and we'll be focusing on the dramatic structure, the audience, and protagonists versus antagonists. We will have a weekly vocabulary quiz, and so it's on Greek and Latin roots. There are 24 weeks, so 24 units, and 124 root words that we'll go through. And so that will be the equivalent of about 3,000 new words by the end of the year, which is pretty great. We will also have vocabulary lists with each new novel. So we have a vocabulary list ready to go for Fahrenheit 451, and it'll just be a way to expand upon vocabulary throughout the year. For history, we will be studying U.S. history from the late colonial era to the turn of the century. Our textbook is History Alive, and we will be reading various chapters, a variety of reading activities, and then doing small projects and other assignments. We will also be doing document-based questions, which are called DBQs. We will use the DBQ process as both outlines to teach students how to effectively organize and analyze documents and primary source materials and secondary source materials, actually. And then we'll also do full essays for trimesters 2 and 3. For history, we will utilize lecture notes, videos, annotations, projects, and activities. A note is that most of the exams will be open note, and there's one exception. The Constitution exam, which we'll talk about in just a moment, is not open note. But for the most part, the other notes we'll take will be, the other exams we'll take will be. Getting to the Constitution exam, it is worth 50% of the trimester 1 history grade. And our tentative dates for that will be November 3rd and 4th. And I can definitely foresee there being some issues with some academic integrity and honesty because we'll be doing this virtually. So I will be asking parents to really try to monitor the Constitution exam when your child is assigned and taking that, so that we can make sure that they're using their knowledge and information that they've learned throughout the trimester and not looking those answers up on the internet. As far as homework and asynchronous time, like I mentioned previously, journals will be primarily done outside of class time. We will use Wednesdays during our synchronous time to go over journals and to spend some time doing questioning or doing questions and answers. Assignments, editing, and proofreading and studying will be done outside of class during that asynchronous time and potentially during homework time. And then please remember that utilizing Google Classroom and Google Calendar for notifications is a really great way to stay organized and stay on top of the work. As parents, you guys can subscribe to their Google Classroom accounts, so you can get a weekly summary, I believe, of the teacher's assignments, as well as a list of missing work. And you can have your student log in and invite you themselves through Google Classroom. If that doesn't work, then I can personally invite you if you send an email to me requesting that. I also highly recommend using a planner and an organizer. A planner or agenda to stay organized, because this is just a lot of meetings, a lot of assignments, a lot of different items spinning around right now with distance learning. So I would highly recommend having a paper planner that your child can write in to stay organized throughout the year. Grading policy. Grades will be weighted by category. Late assignments worth less than 50 points will be given half credit if they're turned in late. Projects, essays, etc., that are worth more than 50 points will be 10% each day, but I won't reduce it more than 50%. If you look in PowerSchool and you see a 0 in the grade book with an M notated, that means that the assignment is missing. And if your child makes up that missing assignment, they are required to send me an email with the assignment title and date so that I know to score it. I don't get any notifications when a kid sends something in late. So unless your child lets me know, I will never see that assignment has been turned in. Additionally, it is the student's responsibility to schedule all makeup work and makeup tests. For English, this is the weighting that I have scheduled in PowerSchool right now. Response journals are worth 35%. Essays and assessments, projects are 30%. Exams, quizzes and tests are 25%. And then participation and classwork will be 10%. For history, it's a little bit different. Trimester 1, like I talked about, the Constitution exam will be worth 50%, and then exams, tests, and quizzes, 20%, DBQs and assignments, 20%, and participation, 10%. And then when we jump to trimester 2 and 3, the exams, tests, and quizzes become 50%, DBQs and assignments 40, and participation in classwork still 10. As far as the supplies that your students will need during distance learning and in person when we hopefully come back, they'll need their computer and a charger to ensure that their computer is charged all day long. They'll need pens, pencils, and paper, highlighters in at least 3 colors, and this will be used when we do our study guides for history. They'll need 200 plus flashcards for the Constitution test and 125 for Greek and Latin roots. As I mentioned, they should have a planner and agenda to write in, and then they do need headphones and earbuds when we return to school. No AirPods because they won't connect to most of our Chromebooks, so I ask for the kind with the audio jack. Just a couple tips and tricks. You guys can, as parents, can help by being understanding, but setting high expectations for your students. You can help by helping students practice and maintain organizational routines. You can sign up for PowerSchool updates. You get a weekly update with a little snapshot of your students' current grades. You can get to know and subscribe to Google Classroom. And then most importantly, understanding that a productive struggle is beneficial to your child's development. It can be really uncomfortable to watch our children struggle, especially when it's academically challenging. However, the productive struggle is so beneficial to building resiliency, and once students get through the learning curve, they really do build upon the challenge, and their confidence grows, and it just really is a beautiful thing to watch the process throughout the year. So I encourage you to support but maintain those high expectations as we all navigate through this trying time this year. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. You can send me an email. I'm really good about responding in a timely manner. It's the best way to contact me because, as many of you know, our secretary office hours have been reduced and our receptionist has been laid off. So we only have someone in the office, I believe, Tuesdays and Thursdays for limited hours. Or I'm sorry, I think it's Tuesdays through Thursdays for limited hours. And so the phones are just not a really effective way to communicate at this point. I really, truly do look forward to getting to know all of your students, and I'm very excited to be teaching 8th grade again this year. It's one of my passions, and I just love the curriculum. So I am looking forward to a very successful year with all of your students. Thank you for listening, and please feel free to contact me anytime with questions or comments or concerns.